Welcome to LawFlip. These two gentlemen, they've done billions of dollars in sales of commercial real estate. They're also really buff. Show the biceps. Show the biceps. Sick.
We feel special.
Drugs, sex, and partying or education? Which one?
Is that a trick question?
Yes. You worked at Girls Gone Wild, which is incredible. You guys are at your happiest, most content place in your career. What is it that's allowed you guys to get to this place?
That's a great question. We felt that at some point, you got to clip your wings, right? Yeah. And you got to be more entrepreneurial. It just made sense. It was the right time. It was the right move.
There's got to be times where you wanted to bash each other's heads in.
Oh, of course, all the time. But like, it's all love, though. Like,
yeah.
When I told my dad I was taking this career on, he said, "Oh, what's your salary?" I said, $0. He said, "Well, what are you talking about?"
You're always getting shat on by clients. You know, no matter how good of a job you do, you learn to brush it off, and you have to have the balance.
LawFlip, objection, Your Honor. Turn the game upside down. LawFlip, objection, Your Honor. Turn the game upside down.
Welcome to LawFlip. It's a conversation about law, life, real estate, and everything in between. So these two gentlemen, these gorgeous looking gentlemen right here, they do commercial real estate. They've done billions of dollars in sales of commercial real estate. They recently left a more traditional firm for a more innovative, younger, more energetic firm. They're going to talk about that. They do a lot of business. They have families. How do they mix it all? They're also really buff. Show the biceps. Show the biceps. Sick. Okay. So they have strong opinions on all things. Let's welcome Michael Hanassab and Elliot Hassan. Welcome.
Oh, thank you, Benjy.
So let's flip the game upside down. So before we get started, don't forget to follow us everywhere on social media at LawFlip. Call us 1-833-LawFlip. Let's hear it, boys. 1-833-LawFlip. Okay, boys, how you doing?
We're doing great.
We're good.
You?
It is so nice to have you guys in.
We feel special.
We've known you for a long time, since we were little kids in Los Angeles in the Valley, 818. So let's see, we grew up in Los Angeles. We all went to University of Arizona. Let's start there.
Okay.
Let's start there. Okay, so what do you more closely associate University of Arizona with? And follow me. Drugs, sex, and partying or education? Which one?
Is that a trick question?
No, but seriously. So we all went to University of Arizona. I mean, it's kind of hard to explain. What would be your elevator pitch of why you should go to Arizona?
I would say eternal friendship.
Eternal friendship. You met a lot of great people there.
The best people. I mean, you know, you always had your childhood friends growing up. Mm-hmm. You had your high school buddies. But once you got into college, those relationships, those friendships that you really developed, I think, you know, I can't even count how many people that I still talk to on a daily basis and see and obviously work with and, you know, all of the above.
Yeah, you guys knew each other before Arizona, but you became super, super, super tight at U of A. But going back to growing up in LA for a second, we grew up around a lot of good looking, rich people, a lot of privileged people. But you guys are two hard workers. I've always known that about you. What do you think it is that allowed you to grow up in a lifestyle of privilege but still bust your ass?
I think for me, it was, you know, the day I turned 16 years old, my dad looked at me and said, "Hey, I'll put a roof over your head, but you have to start working. I'm not going to pay for you to go out." And, you know, that conversation was at a pizza joint, and I ended up working for that pizza joint right there because I walked in and said, "Hey, can I get a job?" Kind of knew that family, but which helps. But, you know, I started working right when I was 16.
What about you, Mike?
Yeah, I had the high school jobs, but I also think it was like just the background, you know, being that my parents were immigrants from Iran, you know, leaving the country under duress, coming here, working from, you know, with nothing, building a life with nothing, just having that mentality, even though you're surrounded by privilege and, you know, by all means, we were definitely privileged and we got all the good stuff and had a great life growing up, but you still had those values of working hard.
But what do you think about the kids that we grew up with that just got too much, that just got spoiled rotten? Like, do you have a different take on that? Because I think maybe some of us were a little bit jealous. Like, at sometimes you're like, Jesus, that looks so amazing. Like, they literally get whatever they want. Like, there's obviously varying degrees of privilege, but I think the older you get, the more I've looked at it and be like, God, that's actually, look, a poor person will look at this conversation and say, oh, you're talking about varying degrees of privilege. But for me, those people that just rely so heavily on their folks, it's not a fulfilling life. Have you guys seen that same thing play out?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't speak for the others. Obviously, as you said, you get older, you kind of appreciate what you have going around. But, what I can say is this, look, my father was an attorney like yourself. And although, he's done well for himself, growing up, I can tell you, he was working till the wee hours of the night. Yeah. Every single night. And so, that kind of rubs off on you a little bit. And, I know I'm lucky to have that. I don't take it for granted, but at the same time, it was nice to be able to see that and have that as a role model. So I think that for me plays a role. I can't speak for everybody else out there, but that's me.
Yeah, no, my dad was always the hardest working guy. He was you guys know him. He was always first one in, last one out. And look, there's a whole argument about like the hustle ethic of like everybody like work hard versus like work smart. But there's no question that working hard is part of getting it done. It's just how you do it and if you could do it in a fulfilling way. What's your take on work ethic? And then you guys are partners. And how do you do you guys have the Kobe mentality of like, I don't want any losers on my team that don't bust their ass? How do you guys deal with the issue of work ethic as it relates to your partnership and then your team?
Good question. I think we're lucky that we've been able to work together for so many years, essentially from when we started in the real estate business, with the fact that we had a background of being very good friends, best friends throughout childhood. We got lucky in that aspect. And I think there's an element of a good cop, bad cop when it comes to, people working on the team. Sometimes I'm harder on people, sometimes vice versa. I think you need to have that dynamic so that you're setting a tone with everybody on your team that, hey, it's okay to goof around sometimes, but that work ethic always has to be there. You got to work hard, get stuff done. Nothing's going to be handed to you. I know I sound ancient, but these days, some of these newer,
millennials,
people entering, especially in our business, you'd be surprised at some of the things that they lack, as simple as writing a letter, things that seem very outdated, but, and I'm not that old, but it's shocking to see. And I think, it's important to have that work ethic. Like,
What do you think drives you guys? Like, obviously we all have families, we all got to make money, but that's not it. That's not the only thing. What drives you guys? You wake up, what is your driving force?
I mean, both Mike and I grew up competitive athletes. And, for some reason, competitive athletes seem to do pretty well in our business. I've always liked the competitive spirit, but what I think is a little bit different for Mike and I and our team is that, there are a lot of individual sports. I've always thrived in team sports.
You were a great kickball player, weren't you? No, you actually were. He was
number
a legend.
one catcher in the United States.
At one point in my days, but look, growing up, my favorite sport, soccer, team sport, all the sports I played were more or less team sports. And there are a lot of individuals who do very well in our business, but teams are kind of been a rising new thing over the last 10, 15 years in our business. And Mike and I have built an incredible team, and we just all work well together. So I think just all that rubs off on each other. I mean, lucky.
So the competition, the camaraderie, all of that. What about you, Mike? What drives you?
I have to agree. Pretty much the same elements as Elliot. There's a little bit of selfishness in all this too. We like the good stuff. We want to be able to provide for our families. I've got some kids. You want to see them grow up in a better situation than even, I did, even though I was very fortunate, but you always want more. And I think that drives me. And I think the idea of continuing to beat out other real estate teams and other firms, the competitive edge there, that's a big thing for Elliot and I. We just want to do the best work we can. And, when we do that, it's demonstrated by the client obviously loving it. And there's a big excitement in that, I think, by just winning a deal over another competing agent.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you guys, in layman's terms, what do you guys do? You guys help people buy and sell real estate. You basically help people buy a dream of like passive income in a lot of ways through owning apartment buildings. What exactly do you do?
More or less, yes, but we don't sell dreams. I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of the clients we're working with own real estate. Mm-hmm. They own apartment buildings. I think, the thing that Mike and I, we take on more of that advisor role. Yes, we can sell your real estate, but it's more, hey, what are you going to do with your property, you're not going to pay taxes. I mean, some people obviously they have other things in mind, but it's where can we go and what can we do? Have a game plan.
When you say you're not going to pay taxes, you mean rather than just sell it and take a profit, you're going to reinvest that into some other property.
You're going to defer all the taxes in a 1031 exchange, hopefully, and redeploy that money into another.
And you guys basically came out of school and you did a couple things here or there, like you worked at Girls Gone Wild, which is incredible. And eventually you started working at a more traditional commercial real estate firm for, I think, like 10, 15 years, right? How long was it?
Yeah, so we both started in 2004 at a firm called Sperry Van Ness. It was, your prototypical, usual kind of old school firm. We did that for 4 years, and I think in late 2007, once we saw that first market correction coming, we jumped ship and joined another very well-known firm, and we were there until June. What was it, Elliot? July of last year. And by that time, I think we were in a different place in our lives, personal lives, business lives, and we were just looking for something more innovative, more fun, less business-like environment, but at the same time still being able to achieve our goals. But we just wanted something that was more entrepreneurial and a little bit more up to what's going on out there in the world. And we found a great fit where we're at.
Yeah. And so you moved to this place called James Capital. Other than having a great hat, what do they do? Like, why is it such a cool, innovative place?
So, the guy who started it, Mike James, incredible guy, young, early mid 30s. He also worked at Marcus and Millichap, and I think what he did was Marcus and Millichap, great company, but he took all the good from there and made something even better, in my opinion, more innovative, more collaborative. You don't really have people that are necessarily stepping on each other's toes within your office or within your company. It's more, how can we work together to get to this common goal?
What's so interesting is we both are in very traditional legacy type businesses, like businesses that innovation is not something that is like looked upon in a favorable light, right? So like for me, I do a podcast and put out social media videos, and it's very against the grain. Obviously now in the past several years, it's becoming more and more of a thing. But most people are like, here's a settlement I got, or, very by the book stuff. And we try to do things a little bit different. I see that your firm, James Capital, is doing things in a more innovative way. And some would say, like, what sophisticated real estate investor is going to want to look at an innovative they want a traditional? No, they are on social media. They are doing these, and we could have an argument about what social media is in a separate conversation, but everybody is addicted to social media. 100%. So why would we, if you just did things the traditional way, you're going to be just like every other commercial real estate firm. So I've been seeing what you guys are doing, and it's pretty amazing. Why was that interesting to you?
Well, I think just like you said, it was, do we just want to be, part of the flock, or do we want to step aside and find something innovative and change the way the business is? I mean, look, for 30 years, suit and tie as a broker, show up to meetings. Now it's like, hey, if you're wearing jeans, if you're wearing a hat, you're doing Zoom meetings with clients, everybody's kind of just gotten a little bit more relaxed about it. At the end of the day, if you've got a good business plan for this client and you're going to show them the path to get there, and, you've got the track record, that's all they really care about. And ultimately, they like the way the firm functions. It's very innovative, a lot of technology driven.
What type of other stuff are they doing?
Well, they're doing, they are a national firm in the sense that we've got, coverage of retail properties throughout the United States. So let's just say, for example, we have a client who owns a property here locally. They sell it. They're looking to redeploy the capital. They want to leave California for a number of reasons that we can talk about for days. We have access to inventory all over the United States, and they can redeploy that capital in a different state, get a higher yield, and essentially, because our partners of our firm are based in the East Coast also, it's just enabled them to really build a good foundation throughout the United States with regards to investing properties.
In conjunction with you guys moving to James Capital, I just get the sense that you guys are at your happiest, most content place in your career. And I get a lot of it's moving to this innovative company, but it's not just that. It's also like these years of experience and learning all sorts of lessons. What do you think has allowed you guys? Is the mindset? What is it that's allowed you guys to get to this place of more contentment, maybe more confidence?
You know, that's a great question. I think that, you know, Mike said it earlier, you kind of just want more things, different things in life. Where we weren't really able to grow the way we wanted to, and we could feel that. And, you know, you started your own thing. It can be a scary thing, obviously. You know, but we felt that at some point you got to clip your wings, right?
Yeah.
And you got to be more entrepreneurial. You know, the people that you're joining up with, they own properties as well, which is where obviously people want to be in our business. Just thinking more outside the box. It just all made sense. And I think it just came to that point. It's weird. People say sometimes things just click. It just made sense. It was the right time. It was the right move. And it was a great decision for us at that time.
And it's so interesting, the entrepreneurial aspect of what you guys do. You guys have always been just like, even though you made this transition, you've always been just 100% commission based. So it's not like you guys ever had like a easy, you know,
No.
like sort of risk-free environment. Has that become just normalized for you? Like, so you get a hit in January and you just come to expect that you better not spend all that shit because you know, February and March might be dry.
Yeah.
How have you come to be okay with this whole up and down commissions this month, no commissions next month lifestyle?
I think it's just, you know, after doing it for 16 years, you just learn, like everything else in life, it's balance. You got to know how to balance the money that's coming in. You got to know how to redeploy it when you do make money. Don't just burn it, you know, doing stupid shit, but actually reinvest it, put it back in your business, put it into other investments. And really that's all it is just you get to a point, we're fortunate enough now where we're doing very well for ourselves, where you're able to sustain those, you know, times or moments where you're not making money. And then ultimately the other part of the aspect of our business is now we've got a large team. So got a lot of, you know, junior partners that are working and they're making money, and essentially the collaboration, it all goes back to collaboration here. You know, everyone's making money, everyone's working hard. There's always people getting a piece of something, and that kind of helps.
Yeah. And I think that in real estate, I think that's kind of, even though it's more traditional, I think there's been more of a tendency to pool together, and you help us, you get a little small percentage. But how has that been building a team? What's your experience building a team?
I would say we really enjoy it now. I think it took us many years before we even took on our first junior partner. And I think part of that was just understanding the level of commitment and time and patience that it took to build a successful junior partner, and also ensure that they stuck with you long term. Whereas, you know, the taboo, it used to be, hey, you do a couple of deals with your senior partner, you make some money and you're done and you go your separate ways. And Elliot and I kind of looked at each other and said, that's not the kind of formula we want for our team. We want to invest our time. We want to obviously make it a reciprocating, beneficial business where they get something from us, we get something from them. And at the same time, we're not limiting their growth. So once they hit a certain plateau within our team, they are able to start building their team underneath our team, and so on and so forth. So to be honest with you, I love it actually right now, you know, and I think maybe it's just becoming a more seasoned veteran, but I really enjoy having a large team and mentoring these young, you know, gals and guys and gals. And, you know, I hope we continue to do it.
Yeah. And we talk about, you know, partnership, and you guys have been friends forever and your partners. It's tough. I mean, there's got to be times where you wanted to bash each other's heads in.
Oh, of course, all the time. But like, it's you know, but it's all love though. Like, you know,
How have you figured out where you complement each other, where it makes sense? I mean, obviously it's a process, but
Right.
So yeah,
speak to that, and speak to maybe people figuring that out, how they could find people that complement the things that maybe they lack.
You know, it's interesting just to kind of go back. I mean, this is a tough business we're in. It is commission based, like you said. When I told my dad I was taking this career on, he said, "Oh, what's your salary?" I said, $0. He said, "Well, what are you talking about?" Look, I made $8,500 my first year.
That's amazing.
So, you know, anyone who thinks they're going to come in and just make $1 million their first year is crazy. But to answer your question, I mean, Mike and I, it's just kind of of that. It's evolved over time. Yeah, there are times where we've wanted to crush each other, but Mike and I, we don't have any, signed paperwork. It's all a handshake. And we both know that we both have each other's best interest in mind. There's times in life where, one person's down and you have to pick them up, whatever it may be, outside of life, inside of work, whatever it is. And you just got to understand that. And we've been fortunate enough to pick each other up throughout those times. And, all these meetings that we've gone on with clients, you just learn each other throughout. Right. Throughout time. I mean, we did live together at Arizona. So
yeah. And then I guess you can't think of it as a ticky tack. This person took this meeting and this person, you have to look at the overall picture. And no, it looks like you guys have really found your stride, and it's exciting to watch. And you're just balancing like the whole annoying like work-life balance situation question. How have you guys figured that out? Because it's tough. It's really tough.
I think, it's a great.
Not that it's something that you can figure out.
I don't think you ever really figure it out. I think you just sort of you learn little bits and pieces of how to manage it, I think is the best way I can describe it. And I think once I became a father, that was like the first real awakening of understanding how important it is to have balance between work, between wife, between kids, and also taking personal time for yourself. I mean, we are, as you know, one of the most stressful businesses. It's commission-based. There's times where you may not make money. You're always getting shat on by clients. No matter how good of a job you do, there's always that one. Yeah, there's always that one client's like, oh, you could have done better, or you could have done this. And so, you learn to brush it off, and you have to have the balance. Do
you have any productivity or like mindset tips that you've come to really find helpful in your day-to-day work?
Well, I think Mike kind of just said it. Balance. You have to have balance, I think, in whatever you do. Mike is as fit as they come. So I know that there are going to be times, especially since the stay at home, everything's happened, where I'm going to be calling him and he may be, biking 100 miles in the day,
right?
Or he may be pumping iron. But I know he's working. I know he's always, he's always looking to put deals together. I know that he's always doing that. And as long as, I know that about him and vice versa, that's what it is. So balance is my tip.
I think it's a great point. I mean, I think a lot of agents in our business don't understand that it's okay to take some time and decompress because we're in such a high stress business all the time. That's why you see so many people burning out. They just can't handle it. It gets to a point where, with your family and bills and all the other stuff, if you don't have a good system in place and have things figured out, you're going to fizzle real fast.
And also like the difference between tactical work versus strategy. So for me, like the way that I operated for 10 years is like, I just pounded away at particular cases. And I always thought that like taking a step, there's no time to take a step back. There's no time to think about like a business model. And I always thought like you'd be doing a disservice to the client to be thinking about a business model. But then you realize that the best businesses have 5-star ratings because they have to think about their business model. They get 5-star Google reviews because they provide a good service. Have you guys shifted at all in terms of like taking a step back? Because you guys probably were always like pounding cold calls, and then took a step back and said, how do we actually strategize here?
No, this is a great one. So we were talking before we sat down, the three of us, and you were talking about your business and how everyone has a niche. And I think what Mike and I within our businesses is, first of all, we sell apartment buildings. That's what we do. We're not going to go sell your home. We're not, that's not who we are. So not only are we focused there, but then within that, Mike has his strategy and I know what he's strong at. So he focuses there and I'm focusing on mine. So yeah, I mean, over time we've had to do that, exactly what you're saying. So yeah, you have to evolve and I think niche is the right word. Everybody has to do what they do and do it great.
Yeah.
And what advice would you have for the younger Mike, aka Tweeter? That was your nickname in college for a period of time. For those youngins, Varsity Blues, check it out. What would be your advice for the young Mike and Elliot coming up in the game that you would have liked to have known,
Don't do it. Just kidding. No, I think, the one thing that we always kind of encounter when we're interviewing new potential hires is you got to have that work ethic. You got to work harder. If you get to a point where you think you're not working hard, push even harder, because early on building that foundation, it's really going to set you up for the rest of your life in this business. If you're going to treat this as an actual business and not just the job, then you need to build that foundation. And when you're young and you don't have, kids and a wife and all that stuff, you can bury yourself in the work and push it. As
the late great Kobe Bryant,
Mamba mentality.
there's a 15-minute hard work YouTube clip that I always go back. He literally says something like, "If you don't bust your ass, you're wasting my time. Get away from me."
Exactly.
And it's hard to not listen to Kobe.
100%. Mamba mentality all the time in this business for sure.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to deal of the week. Mike, what is your deal of the week?
Deal of the week are the muscles. What I mean by that is get out there, do some fitness. It's the best thing you can do for yourself, for your family, for stress relief. Gotta do it. That's my deal of the week.
Amazing. Elliot, what's your deal of the week?
My deal of the week is just do what you love. If you don't love what you're doing, sit down, figure it out, and continue on to do what you love.
Both very LawFlip deal of the week. Perfect ones.
Sure.
Okay, so here's my deal of the week. I went with the simple one. Okay, so finding clothes, it kind of is an annoying thing for guys.
Yeah.
I have found a couple brands on Amazon. Good threads, and look, it may not be the most ethical brands. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Yeah.
Okay? We're talking Amazon type brands. But let me tell you something. Almost every piece of clothing I'm wearing, it's either Amazon Essentials or Good Threads. You order it, it comes there, you put it on, it looks good, it's relatively cheap. That's my deal of the week. Let's go.
All right.
So I'm gonna do a legal tip of the week. This is sponsored by Smith & Benowitz. It's a personal injury employment and class action law firm. It's also actually my law firm, and so I get to sponsor my own shit. Okay, so we're professionals. Most of the people we know, they're professionals, they're lawyers, they're doctors, they're this, they're that. But a lot of us have friends and family who either work in factories or they work these blue-collar jobs. And what happens in blue-collar jobs? They get taken advantage of. They don't get paid appropriately. They don't get paid their overtime. They don't get their meal and rest breaks. So what I implore you to do as professionals who know these people is let them know there's access to attorneys like us, there's other experienced law firms out there that don't let that happen. We take it to the big companies. We go after them. Just get in touch with an experienced employment law firm and they will take care of you. That is my legal tip of the week. First of all, where do we find you online?
JamesCapitalAdvisors.com.
Amazing. Okay. So we really appreciate you coming on. What I would like you both to do is give the LawFlip audience parting words.
My parting words are do good. That's it. Just do good.
I like that. Elliot?
Strive to be the best that you can be.
Amazing. All right. We will see you next week on LawFlip. Thank you so much. Mike and Elliot, we really appreciate it.
Thank you, Benjy.
Love you, Benjy. Thank you.
LawFlip, objection, Your Honor. Turn the game upside down. LawFlip, objection, Your Honor. Turn the game upside down.
Okay, so Ariane, they're asking where they could find us. So for LawFlip, it's at LawFlip and LawFlip.com. For Smith & Benowitz, our law firm, which does personal injury employment and class actions, you can find us at Smith Benowitz and SmithBenowitz.com. For the personal stuff, where you're really going to find the juicy stuff, at Benjy Smith and BenjySmith.com. At Wages Guru and LewisBenowitz.com for Lewis. Oh, so LawFlip is produced, directed, and edited by the young legend Ariane Tabibi, and visual effects and compositions by another young legend, Oren Azad. Intro music provided by Pen Practice. Pen Practice, what is it? Premium instrumentals for upcoming artists by the music industry's top producers. For For more info, visit penpracticemusic.com. I had so much fun recording the intro song with my man Hilton Deuce Wright. Looking forward to hearing more and more from Pen Practice. So the LawFlip identity, this hot logo that you're looking at, created by Garrett Whiston and Travis Nagel. Special thank you to Shai and Seth from the Horwitz Marketing Agency. And lastly, this podcast is made available by Smith & Benowitz for educational and entertainment purposes only. It is only intended to provide general information and opinions about legal and other concepts, and is not intended to be used as a source of legal advice or relied on for legal advice. By listening to this podcast, you understand that no attorney-client relationship is being formed between you and Smith & Benowitz or any of its attorneys. This podcast should not be used as a substitute for competent legal advice from a licensed professional attorney in your state.